Okay, does anybody have a special desire to pray us in this morning? If not, I'll call on you. Having you look
Sure.
like you want to pray.
Yeah. I love seeing your beautiful face, Terry. It's
Oh,
been a
you are
long
too kind. It's good to
time.
see you too. It's good to see everyone, except for those I can't see, but it's good you're here. It's good you're here.
Oh,
Hey, Caitlin.
hi.
So, hi. So, Kev, do you want to pray us in? If you do, you're going to have to come off mute. Otherwise, if you want to do silent prayers, that would be very zen.
I'd rather not. I'm not feeling very well. My lungs
Okay.
are really compromised. I hope you don't mind.
Not at all. How about you, Shirley? I know you're on the prayers.
I can try. It's Corrine, if you are okay with me winging it
Oh,
or
of
whatever you
course.
want.
Of
I'll
course,
just let
winging is
spirit
good.
talk to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Winging is good. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We just get in the mode. Thank you for everyone that's here today at the Madonna Ministry. There's so much that we can learn together, and we know that Spirit is with us, our archangels, angels, spirit guides, and of course, the wonderful ancestors on the other side who love us. And as we go through our journey in life, just remember that Spirit is always with us and that we do healing on ourselves. Not only are we healing ourselves, we're healing the past ancestors that our DNA is in our body, and we're also making future generations whole. And in spirit, thank you for being here with us, angels, everyone, and let's go forward. And amen.
And so it is. Thank you so
So it
much,
is.
Colleen. That
Thank
was
you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Hi, Tar. So, for those of you who have been here the last few weeks, we've been discussing remote viewing. And just to kind of do a quick recap for those who haven't been here, remote viewing is a science of using your subconscious or your mind to review, to view, or to sense uh, things that happen in the past, things that are going to happen in the future, locations that exist now or in the past. So it really proves to us when we remote view that we are unlimited. Our consciousness is unlimited, and we can use that unlimited consciousness to view whatever we intend to. And so with that today, what I'd like to do is to talk about the foundation of remote viewing, which is the Gestalt. So we'll talk about the Gestalt. Um, I will show you some examples of what a Gestalt looks like and what it means. After that, I think what I'd like to do is, if we have time, to go into a brief meditation and then do a really quick remote viewing, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And this one will be off of that website that I showed you last week. And we won't choose the remote viewing subject until we've done the remote viewing. So this is going to be us actually viewing into the future because we don't know what we've picked yet. So it's going to be a really cool experiment. It's one I've done a million times before, and it's always interesting. So what I'd like to do is this time I lifted a PowerPoint from Lori Williams. Lori Williams is one of the remote viewing teachers that is online. You can go to her classes. She's got some free stuff, but she also charges for her classes. I've taken a couple of her classes, and I'd recommend them. They're pretty good, especially if you're. Can I share, Nikki? I'm going to send a request. Especially if you're just starting out, she's a good one. She's very basic in her explanations. So she's one. So let's see. Hobby. So the one thing I have about Lori is she's a little dramatic, and you will see that in the slides. But other than that, let's move forward. So ideograms. So ideogram, the Gestalt is that for those of you who weren't here, After we say the number of the remote viewing, we let our hand do a quick drawing on the page. That's called a gestalt. And the gestalt is made up of ideograms. And so we're going to talk about the gestalt today because it is foundational to remote viewing. So, like I said, little dramatic. We need an interpreter. But she makes a good point here. The body is the link between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Because really, when we remote view, we want to keep the conscious mind out of it as much as we can. That is our left brain in most parlance, although that is changing now. And more people are using their whole brain. But what we want to do is keep the logic out of it. And we want to communicate with that part of us that really doesn't have words, and it communicates in feelings and pictures, that gut feeling that we call, for our purposes, the subconscious. And she says that ideograms are a physical language. They are the language between your subconscious and your conscious mind. Again, your subconscious was formed. That's your subconscious mind, which operates in below beta. So it's like alpha, theta, mostly alpha and theta when we're young children. That's why children learn so quickly, is because they're always in their primal learning state, which is alpha and theta brainwaves. And that is described as our subconscious, especially when you get into the delta brainwaves. And so there is no language. We didn't have language when we came in to this world. We had the beginnings of it, and we maybe had, a remembrance of it, but we couldn't use it. And so we operate totally on our feelings, on what we see, the noises that we make. That's our subconscious mind. And we form pictures that we see sometimes in dreams, that we communicate with in memories. That's our subconscious mind communicating with us. So each ideogram, there are universal symbols for various things that we're going to be remote viewing. And so the ideogram is one way to capture those universal symbols. And the example that I can make is like a stop sign is a universal symbol pretty much for stopping. And that's what an ideogram is. So, and then we come into Gestalt. The example of a Gestalt is the idea of land. And she says we all know what land is, but there's different types, right? There's the mountain peak, there's muddy, kind of dusty land, there's green, lush, rolling hills, there's barren, dry land, and then there's swampy land. So, there's a whole continuum of what we call land in our language. And so when our subconscious brings land up to us, it brings some of these feelings, these textures, these sights up as well so that we can recognize it. Here's rocky land, the sand. And the same thing for water. When we say water, this is one way of imagining water in our minds, but there's also ice and clouds and snow. So the pictures that we get, the gestalts that we get, the things that we get from our subconscious try to differentiate in a very, in my mind, kind of a comical way between these various ideas of land, of water, which are two of the basic things in remote viewing that you're going to find a lot. So we're not thinking of water as a thing, as a substance, but we're thinking of it as a concept, right? So water could be sweat. It could be the wine in someone's glass, a liquid, the ocean, a cloud, a snowstorm, or the steam coming off a volcano. That could all come up in our remote viewing as water. So we allow the thoughts to come through spontaneously, and that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier about not using your left brain. So instead of, we don't like to name things, we do name these gestalts because they give us a foundation. But we have to keep in mind, while we're calling something land, there's all these variabilities to the concept of land that may come up in our remote viewing. Same thing with water. Let's see. So the purpose of it, she's got phases that I'm not going to go into. But when we first close our eyes or open our eyes, or when we first go to the target, however we do that, and we talked about ways to do that, right? We talked about pulling back a curtain in our mind. We talked about, sending a beam of light to that point. However it is that you find the target, it's all that when you first land there, that gestalt, that ideogram is your first concept. And so, and I'll tell you, you don't have to take my word for it or Lori's word for it. I want to show you some examples here in a second. Okay. But first, let's go through the 7 ideograms. The ones that Lori teaches, and they're useful. They're land, water, man-made. And man-made could be a structure, it could be a boat, it could be a car, anything that's man-made. Natural is anything that's nature, so it would be a natural formation, maybe a rock formation, maybe some kind of, I think a crop circle would fall as natural. Cornfields would be natural. And then the biologicals, they're organic, they're live. Um, they are either people or animals, those kind of things. And then motion. And motion is very interesting because you can't really see motion, you feel it. That's the one that we definitely feel. And so motion could be moving forward or spiraling or from the right or from the left or moving backwards. It's however you feel that motion. And then there's something we call space error. And that's not one we use a lot. A lot of people like to view different planets and things, and so they use space error as one of their ideograms. So, you can make up your own ideograms. It's up to you how you want to do that. I kind of like to have a foundation. So this is her ideogram for land, and I think it's a good one. If there's a straight line in your ideogram, that would cue you that there's land where you're looking. The ideogram for water is what you would expect, waves. Could also be my view for wavy motion. So, always kind of take it with a grain of salt. Man-made, since there are no 90-degree angles in nature, man-made is the 90-degree angle. Natural is a check mark, and that will show up in your ideogram. And that could be a natural, say a natural structure, a cave, something like that. Bio, organic, and live, she shows it like with a head, like a person with a head. That's how I remember that. Motion, energy, she's just got it going up only more acutely than the water wave was. And then space error is a circle with a loop at the bottom. So the gestalt then is the shape that we write down plus whatever feeling we get with it. And the way we get feeling is very interesting. Once you draw your ideogram, and again, I'll show you examples, the way to feel it is to take your pen or your finger and touch what you've drawn. And the first thing that pops in your mind, once you've touched it, gives you some information about it. So the information could be that it feels smooth, that it feels rocky, that it feels gravelly, that it feels hard, that it feels cold. And you can get all that just from touching the line on the paper. Same with water. If you want to touch the water, you might get, cloudy or swampy or murky. You might get clear as soon as you touch that water with your pen. And then the man-made, you touch that, you can touch that in different places and whatever comes into your mind. Like you might want to touch it at the bottom, and then you might want to touch it at the middle of the top with your pen, and whatever happens, whatever comes up for you. Some people go so far as to slap it. If they have a man-made, they slap it, and then they listen. Does it ring? Is it cold? Is it hard? Does it echo? Is there an echo? What about it? So you're not really looking at the target, you're examining the overall gestalt. And through your intent, our intent is always to look at the most important thing to the picture. What is the biggest gestalt or the most important thing first? And we get into detail later, but for right now, let's just concern ourselves with the most important thing. And so what happens is if you use these like water, land, structure, those kind of things, if you say them over and over in your mind, you train your subconscious, then if it sees or if it feels or if it senses water at the site, your hand will then make the wave ideogram. If it senses a structure, then your hand will make the 90-degree angle. And you know, by touching it, you can get soft land like mud. You know, she's just going more into depth. So this is what an ideogram looks like. And we talked about that. You can see if I were to dissect this, I would say that there are probably 3 or 4 different ideograms in this. We have definite right angle here, which would be man-made. We loop down here, and that is her motion, I believe. If we come across straight, that would be land. And then if we come up like this, it's a biological with maybe some more land. So that's the overall feel. That's what your subconscious has told you about the site that you're going to. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to remember all this. But you will, because let's see if I have it. If we go to Lori's site, which is listed right here, there's ideogram practice. Let me just look and see. I had it up. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm going to stop share and reshare for a second. And I just want to show you how this works. Share. And I want to make sure I really want to share sound. So hopefully that'll come across. So when you go to Lori's ideogram practice, you just select the ideograms you want to practice, and then you hit play. Did you hear that? Okay, so I guess I can't share sound. It doesn't appear to be an option for me. But anyway, what it is there's a voice that is saying motion energy, and then you make the ideogram natural, and then you make that ideogram the check mark. Space air, and then you loop it down. Water. So it drills you so that you can practice and get these drilled into your subconscious. And it's free, and it's on intuitivespecialist.com/ideogram-practice. And we're recording this, so you can come back to the recording. Let's see. So that is one way that you can kind of drill these into your subconscious is practice. And it doesn't take long at all. And also you can plug around on Lori's site. She's got some free things. She's got some blog that you can read all about learning how to remote view. So I'm going to stop the share again. And I'm going to share. Okay. So back on the PowerPoint, and I just want to complete it just to give her credit. And she has a free class on ideograms, which is what I pretty much just gave you at her website. And she's got other mini classes that are free that you can experiment with if remote viewing is something you'd like to pursue. Okay, so keep in mind what we just talked about, because let's see what I do. I guess you get to see me now. I want to stop share. Okay. So does anybody have any questions? I went through that very quickly. It's the second time we've talked about it, but does anybody have any questions on gestalts and ideograms? And if not, I want to show you, let me go to my other camera here. So back in 1890, somebody called Rene Warcollier studied telepathy, and he called it Mind to Mind, and he wrote a book. And this is his book. And the reason that I'm showing it to you is because his telepathy looks an awful lot like our gestalts. So if you look, you can see on this page, the target is this first figure. You see, it just looks like just an X. And you can see what the person who is remote viewing, or the person who is intuiting, you could see what they picked up on. And it kind of gives you an insight into how remote viewing works. You don't see the whole picture in your mind. If you do, you're probably in your left brain. But what you get is a sensation of zigzagged lines, or a sensation of a arch, or a sensation of a bow. And all of these are very close to this. They're pieces of this, if you put it together. And that's how you get it. Each time that you go back to the target, you get another piece. Okay. And these experiments were done in 1890. So it like I say, it kind of shows you, let's see, I'm just getting used to this camera. If you look at down here, the target was these black dots. And what the impression of the person came up with was dots that were different from the background, which is right on target. They're not exactly placed, they're not perfect, but they give you the sense of dots on a target. Here, the target was a butterfly. And the impression was of a winged creature, which is right. It picked up on some of the verticals and some of the dots in the butterfly. I'm sorry, my hand, this is like mirrored, so it's weird. So just bear with me. And then you can see the concept of the wing on its side. So when you look at the target, don't expect to see it head on 90 degrees like you're looking at it. You'll come at it every time that you go to it, you'll come at it from a different angle. You'll get a different piece. And that's why it's really important to record these pieces, because later on, when you practice enough and you're able to put them together, you'll have all the pieces. And never, never, never discard an impression. Always note it down, because it's always going to be a piece of it. Even if you look at this one, where the target was just a drawn butterfly, the impression was something very close to the wings, although it didn't quite pick up all the detail. And then this looks like it's coming at the top of the head, like if you were looking at the top of the head head on, if it was laying vertical. So that would be part of it too. If you look at someone, this looks like Saturn, maybe, a rough drawing of Saturn. You could see what the person picked up. They picked up the rings, not a complete ring, but they picked up parts of the ring. They picked up something connecting something else. And then some more of the rings with a little dot. And I would say that that's pretty good. The dot, what you'll find is a lot of times your pictures won't be in scale. They won't be to scale. You'll have, like, this guy's got the dot, but the dot is way smaller than the rings, the impression of the rings. But it still would be accurate because, the dot is there. Because it's really hard to convey perceptions of scale. Although if you do it long enough, you will get that. This one is, the eye of dollar. I don't know what that is. I have, I guess, Horus maybe. That's the target. And the impression was a triangle with circles around it. And that was, kind of dead on when you think about it. Again, it's hard to put things in perspective and in scale, but it's got the elements of the target there. So there's just a couple more I wanted to show you. This one I really like because this one gives you a good, here we have just a drawing of a fan. And the impression, you can see they got the edge of the fan there. Here they've got it closed up, what it would look like closed up. Over here, that might be right where the two pieces meet on the bottom. And so might this be. So might this be. So what I want to do is set your expectation about what you're going to get when you remote view. And to understand that every time you remote view, you're going to get a piece of the target unless your logic gets into it too much. Just a couple more. This one is Nile Cruise, a Nile Cruise advertisement, it looks like. And you can see they got water. They got part of the boat. They got the lines underneath the boat. I don't think it looks like they didn't get people. And I don't know what this is. Might be some decoration on the boat that he picked up. And the one in the corner looks like the birds flying. That could be the perception of the birds. So you can see it's very, very stylistic. Here's like the target is the devil with a pitchfork. And the guy got the target pretty well, and he even got that there was something next to the guy in the air, and but he made it a hat. That would have been his left brain changing the lines into a hat, changing the pitchfork into a hat. So you see, that's why I wanted to show you those, because I wanted to set your expectation for what we're really looking for when we remote view. And it certainly isn't perfection. Let me unshare. Let me see how okay, it looks like I did. Did I? Oh, I have to go camera. Let's see. Okay, so the gestalt is your first touch of the target. And it changes. It can change every time you go to the target. It can change just a little bit. So there's a couple other things I just wanted to show you that would be helpful. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to share this and I'll put it in the chat. Hold on. I don't like the way Zoom changed share. Used to be a lot easier, but then I guess you could see the whole screen sometimes, and I guess people didn't like that. So here is someone's attempt at creating a worksheet. And, I don't, some people really like, having things structured for them. And I can see where it would be very helpful when you're starting out. So it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. But as you can see, we talked about the name, the date, the target number. Advanced perceptions would be things that, sometimes when you go to do something psychic, you get a hit as to what you think it's going to be. And usually you're close. So you just want to note that down. Like, say you're going to do a viewing and you say, oh, this is going to be the running of the bulls or something. Your emotional status, to me, I don't know, you should be calm when you remote view. It shouldn't matter. And then your physical status, it's harder to do anything when you don't feel well. So hopefully you feel well. There's an affirmation here that these folks use. It's good. It helps to set your mind. You could use it. Again, I usually tap and set my intention, say what my intention is going to be. And I actually write the intention down, access and describe the photo we will see at whatever time. Let's see. And then they give you the block for your ideogram drawing. And then they instruct you to tap the drawing with your pen and write down whatever you get. And they give you some examples. So this is one thing I'll share with you, and you can mess with it and see if it's something that you like. One question that I really like about the target, once you've had some perceptions, like cold, hot, large, vertical, horizontal, whatever, try to tune into the target. How do you feel about it? So does it confuse you? Does it make you feel awe? Does it make you feel cold? Does it make you emotionally drained? Does it make you ill? And then the other question is, what if someone was at the target, what would they be feeling? So if it was like, for example, a workplace, they might be feeling, focused or, working or whatever. And then what is the purpose or category of the target? And that could cover anything. It could be political, it could be industrial, it could be educational, it could be entertainment. So any of that. And that helps you to feel into the target, which I think is very important when you're trying to come up with some of these words, is just, what does the target feel like? So let's see. And that's that for that one. I think I can put that in the chat. If not, I'll send it to Nikki and she could put it in the chat. And then this other one, I think you're going to find very helpful if you do a remote viewing. This is Lori's again. And it just gives you an idea of the kind of things that you can sense or see or sense, I guess is a good word, when you're at the target. So, and it's in alphabetical order, not necessarily order by importance or order that I would see things in. Because what you're going to find is, as you do more and more of these targets, you're going to come in, and for me, I go to the target, and the first thing I get is color. And then I might get textures. And then I might get an idea of the luminosity. Is the sun, where's the sun in the sky? Is it dusk? Is it noon? Is it warm? Is it cold? And I just kind of go down those things that way. But this is kind of a list that you can look at and cue yourself. And you can even use this while you're viewing, although I think initially it might be a little confusing, but I gave it to you in case you want to practice. So ambiance, the way I describe that is the mood. So, like say you walk into a room and you heard loud voices, and then you walk into the room and you feel, oh, this is icky. They must have been arguing. It's the general feeling of the site. That's what she calls ambiance. And it could be, oh, I really like the feeling of this place. It's sacred. So it's just, how does the room feel or the place feel or whatever. And then biologicals, anything, like fleshy or male or female or non-human. She says non-human. I laugh at viewing space aliens only because how are you going to prove that? To me, remote viewing is being able to, as a science, it is performing the remote viewing and then being able to verify or not the things that you found. So if you're gonna review space aliens, remote view space aliens, and they may very well be remote viewing space aliens, how do you verify that? So I think that's in some ways a fantasy. And that's why I laugh. But there's some people. Courtney Brown is one who makes his living remote viewing space aliens and their intentions and when they're coming. It's very interesting. Colors, again, colors are big with me. I guess it's because I'm very color oriented. I like colors. the composition, again, that's not an important one for me unless you have a scene with several structures, but it may be important for you. Conceptuals, that's like the purpose we talked about. Density, again, that's where you punch something or slap it, just to see how it is. Directional descriptors, sometimes I will get, and she uses this for motion, but sometimes, especially when we're doing remote viewing, a missing person, sometimes I'll get, I'll ask, which way am I standing? And the first thing, what am I looking at? And then if it comes up like northwest, I'll put that down. I don't know if that's right or not, but I always think it could be helpful to orient someone in a particular scene. So that's another way to do that. We talked about emotions. We talked about luminance. Again, if you're indoor, what's the light like? Where's it coming from? If you're outdoor, where's the sun? Where's the moon? Are there any other sources of light? And a lot of times in my viewing, lights, I'm really good with light poles. I can tell you if they're working, if they're broken. Because it's like the thing that catches my eye, is a light pole. So we did one cold case crime scene where, with the investigator, where the reason it happened, the reason this murder was able to happen, is because this light was broken. This lamp was broken. It was very dark in this one particular spot, and that's where they found the body. And I was able to identify the broken light. So again, whatever, there's going to be things that stick out in your mind, that other people might not necessarily get, just because, to me, pretty shiny, bright things, that's what I notice. Meanings. Be careful again with these. You really don't want to start naming things, especially in the beginning, but it's included for what it's worth. Measures. Sometimes I'm able to get heights, and I think it's because I used to fly. So sometimes I can get like the difference between like mountain peaks. I can get a general feel for how high they are. I can get a general feel for how tall a building is, only because I operated a lot in that environment. Again, it's going to be what your experiences are that'll help you. Objects, be very careful about objects, again, only because you're naming something. But if it feels like an ocean, I think you're safe with that. That you would say water, right? You would say water, vast, cold, taste salty, feels spray, humid. Those kind of things would describe an ocean without saying ocean. And a valley would be a low spot in between two vertically high spots, without using the word valley. So just be really, really careful about that. Patterns are huge. That's the other thing that I tend to pick up, is patterns. So if you have, like you saw the one picture with all the dots in it, you could have written one dot repeated, right? That's a pattern. Or fencing, you can always get the fencing, or the stairs. And those are patterns. And what I would do is just write those down. And if there was more than one, I would say repeat. Trees in the forest, you kind of get the trees, and you just say repeat to get that off your mind. Purposes, we talked about that. Is it recreational? Is it entertainment? Is it political? Relationships, again, that, to me, that's more of a secondary thing. But they can be relationships between mountains, between buildings, between people. If you're getting in that deep. Sketching, we talked about shapes. Shapes are huge. You're going to find yourself, not only in your gestalt, but as you're viewing, I encourage you to draw your shapes that you're seeing. Draw the repetitive patterns that you're seeing, because picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Let's see, sizes we talked about. Smells is a big one that I tend to forget, but when I remember, I usually get something pretty good. And smells can tell you about the environment itself. So if you're outside and you smell like almost waste, and it smells decaying, you're probably in a swamp. If you're outside and you take a deep breath and it's, it just feels good to take that breath. You might be in front of an ocean or in a mountain, you have to analyze it further, but smell is one of our primary senses. Sounds, again, when I hit the building, what sound does it make? Do I hear any sounds? Are there any ambient sounds in the area, like clicking? Is there a water wheel? Is there water sloshing? Is there a mechanical, like a car sound or something like that? And then taste and temperatures. I taste, I don't like to stick my tongue on stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. Some people, they taste and they get it right. I'm just like, I don't even know what this is. Why would I do that? So I don't, it's a thing. It's up to you. Textures are a big one for me. I like to feel things. So, uh, if you're looking at vegetation, is it like flowers or is it like bushes? If the ground, is it gravelly? Is it smooth? Is it asphalt? Is it hot? Textures are really helpful to me. Weight, I don't do much. And there you go. So those are the things that you're going to want to be thinking about when you get to your site. And as you go through this more and more, it'll be easier for you. And I will also put this in the chat. Maybe while you guys are remote viewing, I'll put it in the chat so we don't take up time. I've talked too long. So do you guys remember the site I gave you last week? Did anybody go there and do any, did anybody go there and do any remote viewing practice? Good, Kevin, how'd you do, if you can say?
I did surprisingly well. I was amazed, I thought I was drawing a ocean up to a mountain, and it turned out to be a valley. And what I drew as waves turned out to be hundreds of foundations, leftover ruins in this valley. And
Very
then I did a couple of others, and I was I was shocked with what I came up with. I
Yeah.
thought, stupid me,
No, but you're learning the language of your subconscious.
Yeah,
So when you see that repetitiveness, that could be foundations, it could be waves. So for you, I mean, that's why we practice. We don't practice to get to the site. We all know we could get to the site. Anyone can get to the site. It's our God-given right to get to the site. What it is now we're communicating with our subconscious. And unless you're a medium or a psychic naturally, it's not something we do. We just don't communicate with our subconscious that much. As a matter of fact, we tend to ignore it sometimes. So the more that you can practice, the better off you're going to get. So we don't really have time to do a practice and talk about it, and I don't want to keep you over. So what I want to do is maybe do just a real quick meditation and then open it up for questions. And then I would ask you to please, please, please practice on your own. If this is something, well, when we are done with the meditation, I'm also going to ask you how in depth you want to get. Because there's a lot you can learn on your own. There's a lot you can learn by taking classes with Lori or other people on the internet. You can go down to the Moreau Institute and take a class there. So there's a lot you can learn without me. And I don't know where everyone is, and I'm willing to teach you as much as I know. And this is I've studied it a lot. So this is like scratching the surface. So be thinking about that. When we come back, I'll ask you that question. Okay. So if you would, and I thank you for listening to me lecture. I know it can get boring with all the words. So let's just shake all that off. Take a deep breath. If you want to turn off your camera, you're welcome to, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a brief healing, because it sounds like there's a couple of folks that need a healing, and then we'll do some more affirmations on the remote viewing, the ability to remote view, the ability to see things, and the ability to report things that you've seen. So that's what we're going to do right now. So just take a deep breath, breathe out. And any tension or confusion or left brain fog that you're experiencing, just let it go. You don't need it right now, because what we're going to do right now is we're going to get into our soul, our subconscious. We're going to get into that part of us that's God-given. We're going to get into that part of us that's timeless, perfectly healthy, that knows everything and sees everything, and that wants so desperately to communicate with each one of us. And so take another deep breath. And as you do, feel this wonderful warm, like a warm shower on your head. Feel it almost too hot as it enters into your head, swirling around, chasing any kind of debris or contamination or dross or anything that happens to be in the way of your perfect thinking, of your perfect reasoning, of your perfect understanding of your subconscious and your conscious minds. And now allow that really warm feeling, liquid almost air to circulate around the base of your skull, where it meets your neck, where we carry our tension. And see that tension just fizzing away like Rolaids in a glass of water, just fizzing away. What a relief it is just to let that tension just fizzle up and drift off. And now allow that wonderful swirling energy to caress your shoulders, to envelop you in a beautiful shawl of gold and silver threads with all your favorite stones, gemstones embedded in it. And it changes like a hologram. And it's warm and it's inviting. And all of those gemstones are bringing their energy into your inner core, into your chakras, down your spine. And that energy is just swirling around your abdomen, cleaning your lungs. The breaths that you take now are so easy and gentle and clear. Take another deep breath in gratitude for this wonderful clearing of our breathing, our ability to take in the area around us, the spirits around us, the Holy Ghost. Whatever your belief system is, that's how we communicate with our outside, is through breathing. And allow that beautiful, beautiful breath now to gain warmth and to enter every cell, every fiber, every atom of your being, every mitochondria, every part of you is now working in perfect health and harmony, in sync. Building, tearing down, repairing, fixing, creating. That's what our bodies do. And so now yours is doing it perfectly, in tune with your heart, in tune with your intuition, in tune with your subconscious. And your subconscious mind now is clean and clear, and anything that you've housed in your mind that doesn't belong there has now been dissolved. It's gone, and it's being carried by your breath through every part of your body, into your pelvis, where this warmth energy is circulating, swirling, creating a wonderful, beautiful torsion is what I heard, but that's a torus, beautiful torus, as it surrounds your body, cleansing and clearing and taking away all of that junk from your subconscious, all of the ancestral healing that needs to take place, the generational things that need to be removed, not forgotten, but the effect of them removed. And so now we come down into your legs and we allow that wonderful warming energy to heal, to cure, to fix any structural problems in our backs. Anything that's not working quite right is now working perfectly. And that energy leaves our feet and it goes into the earth, and she gratefully accepts it because it's a gift from us. And as she accepts it, she changes it and sends it back, this beautiful clear energy. And this beautiful clear energy, it moves at warp speed. and it comes up through our bodies and it leaves through the top of our head and it fills our souls. We know that our souls are 95% outside of our body. Only 5% of our soul is in our body, and the rest of it is everywhere, everyone, everything. We are one. And that's how we are one, is through this beautiful soul. And as our soul envelops the nothingness, it envelops the somethingness, it envelops all time. And as we feel into this beautiful soul, this structure that it never dies, it's never ill, it's always perfect, and it is dying to communicate with us, we feel into it. We feel it as it comes down into our chakra, opening, clearing, cleansing, because that's our intent and that's what we've asked for. And now we feel it as it envelops everything around us. And we know that if we go into our souls, if we truly, truly go into our souls, we are ageless, we are timeless, and we are omniscient because we are everywhere. And we know that that's our birthright. And we know that everyone is just like us. There is no difference amongst people. There is no difference at the soul level. And so it's at this soul level that we ask for healing. We ask for healing for not only ourselves, our thoughts, and our thoughts, how they affect our bodies, but we ask for healing for those who would control our destinies, who would seek to control our futures. We know that they can't. They think that they can, but we want to just let it go because that's the illusion. And there is no illusion in our souls. There's no illusion. We are perfect, whole, and healthy at this point. Breathe in your perfect, healthy soul. Breathe out anything that keeps you from realizing this. And just sit for a moment, being everywhere, everyone, everything. And allow the information that is contained in the nothingness to come to you. There's a message for you here in your soul. Maybe you just seek to open communications. Maybe you seek to know your subconscious better. Maybe you seek whatever it is you seek. Know that it can be granted unto you if you believe you already have it and if you're grateful for the gift. And from this point, we humbly recognize the gifts that we have. We listen to the message that's coming to us. And we offer our gratitude for the very fact that we could breathe, the very fact that we have the ability to know our souls at this level, the very fact that we understand that illusion has no control over us, and the very fact that we know that this 3D world is nothing but illusion. And so it is with gratitude, with hope, and in trust that each of us is guided by the magnificence of our own souls, in concert with the many, many souls that we communicate with daily, hourly, every minute of every day. And we ask that our intentions be cleansed and purified, and that we be given the ability to see through the illusion to the perfection that exists in everything. And so now at the soul level, we take one final deep breath. We follow that stream of our soul as it comes back in through our 8th chakra to our 7th, down through our bodies, as we bring our awareness, our consciousness back into our bodies. And we leave that big, beautiful soul We leave it to protect us and to guide us. We leave it to cleanse us and purify us and keep us out of trouble. We know that everything is in perfection. And as you come back into your body, you might want to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe shake that neck a little bit. Find yourself in the seat, in your chair. And slowly and gently open your eyes in gratitude, in love, feeling whole, healed, alert, and aware.
As always, it was wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate them. So let's, if you don't mind, I know if we can snap back just a little bit, I really do want to get an answer to that question about how deeply you want to go into controlled viewing, remote viewing. Um, and so yeah, does anybody want to start on that?
I
Yes.
per
Go
I
ahead, Kevin.
personally would like to see where this can go in the next couple of weeks. You know, where you are led to take us. Um, your explanation of the Gestalt today cleared up my mind because when I was reading it was like I was reading Pig Latin. It made no sense to me, but you made it understandable. And thank you. Uh, and so I'd like to see where that can go in the future.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate the kind words. Nikki, what were you going to say?
Having a question about, since we're all learning different things, we were doing the pendulum before, and we've talked about mediumship and that sort of thing. I wonder where in the scope you're landing with the remote viewing versus the animal communication versus the mediumship and all of your psychic gifts. How is this kind of separating itself or becoming more of an interest for you?
This has always been something that I've been interested in is remote viewing. But I think for me, the larger picture is exploring what our capabilities are and reclaiming our capabilities. Because I really do believe that you don't have to be special to remote view or to be psychic or to be a medium. And I think that the more that we learn about what our capabilities are, the more confident we become. And I think we're going to need that. I mean, time is speeding up. It truly is. Time is speeding up. And I think that the folks that don't trust in their own abilities are going to just get eaten up. So, for me, the guidance is just learn as much as you can and share as much as you learn because it's important. It's important. And now how the remote viewing aligns with some of the other things. For me, the remote viewing aligns with dowsing because when you are looking for something or someone, you can't. Remote viewing isn't very good with that. You can get the person, you can get their surroundings, but you can't find their exact location unless you dowse. So that's where dowsing comes in. The mediumship comes in, and I've done this a couple of times, and I haven't had the opportunity lately to do it. But if I'm looking for someone and I think they're deceased, I can try to connect with their spirit to find out what happened, where their body is. So again, and then I can remote view them and make sure I have the right person, and then I can douse to see if I can find the location. But these are all things we ought to be able to just. I don't want to say ought to. That's really judgy, but we have the ability. Let's put it this way: we have the ability to answer any question that we have using our guidance, using our soul. We have access to any information that we need just by using ourselves, and we don't need priests and politicians and people telling us what to think, because we could do that ourselves. And the more people, the 100 monkey thing, the more people that you get, there comes a tipping point. And it becomes then the natural course of business for people to behave in that way. And that's where I think we're going. That's what I think the whole shakeup about the government and everything is that, we have to take a look at how our structures are flawed. We have to take a look at the people who are managing our structures, how they're flawed. And we have to now try to figure out what's the better way. And the better way is for each of us to come together in spirit with our guidance to determine what's best for us, ourselves. So that's kind of my soapbox. And that's why I think it's important. And that's why, I will do whatever I can to the best of my ability to pass the word on to anybody who wants to listen. So there we go.
Thank you so much.
I hope
that answers a lot for me.
question.
It does, because I've been trying to do it all, and it's like, okay, I know that we all have it in us, and which one is going to hit. And so I love
We're
how
all
you
hitting.
threaded it all together.
Yeah, well, it's like working on your abs. You could work on your abs a lot of different ways, right? You could do
Yeah.
crunches, you could do
Yeah.
sit-ups, you could do, but this is kind of what we're doing. We're working on our psyche, if you will.
Yeah.
And we're just doing it. We're hitting it from different ways. And like you say, we're going to find something that clicks, and then it's all going to fall in line.
Yeah.
And it's already clicked for you. You're just not acknowledging yourself.
Thank you.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
I want to keep going with this. It's fascinating. I just haven't had time to work with it. But now that my arm is pretty much healed, I can think again without taking all that medication.
Nice.
So,
Just don't,
yeah,
just
I mean,
don't
what?
break yourself. Just don't break yourself
I
anymore.
already did. Yeah, any more than I already have. Yeah, I got to stay away from the library. It's got it in for me. But anyway, again, this is a subject that's always fascinated me as well, and it goes along with the psychic pieces that I have been able to study under various teachers. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, let's go forward. I will try to get on that website this week and play with it. Then I'll have more questions.
Yeah, like I say, it's just so fun. Once you get into it, once you get over the trepidation, I'm not going to say fear because I don't like that word. Once you get over the trepidation about doing it, you're going to be like, "Ooh, this is cool. I'm going to find my wedding ring," or whatever you're looking for. But you could use dowsing for that too. So, and I put those two sites, those two pieces of information I promised, into the chat. You can download them right from the chat. If you don't know how to do that, I think you just click right and you can save it. Okay. Well, I kept you over, and I apologize for that. Any final questions, last words?
Yeah, I have a question, if I could.
Sure, Tar.
Bobby had an experience this week that I think I would call it a gestalt, but maybe I don't know what to call it. She was in the hospital and waiting for a procedure, and she was sitting in a wheelchair, and she was kind of in the twilight zone, and she had an apparition of a person that she knew from childhood who was an adult and had already passed on. And this person came to tell her a couple of things. One, that when he was a youngster, about 5 years old, they lived across the street from us, and there's a dysfunctional family, so often the kids came over to our house, and Bobby told him that one thing that he was very bright and that he could almost achieve anything. And he told her, "Thank you for helping me learn how to ride a bicycle. And then he told her that she was going to live longer. That was the message she got. And then Bobby asked him, she said, how long am I going to live? And he said, I can't tell you that. Is that a gestalt?
Sounds to me like a spirit. It sounds to me like she went through the veil, is what it sounds like. I don't know. What do you other mediums think? It does. It just sounds to me like she was able to connect on the other side, which is huge. I mean, I love doing that. That is healing. It is so many things. Yeah.
And it's something that's kind of spontaneous. It's something you didn't plan for. It is something you don't set your sights on. It just seems to happen.
Yes.
And isn't that kind of a definition for gestalt that just kind of happens spontaneously?
The formation of a gestalt does happen spontaneously. You're absolutely right about that. But to your point about it happening spontaneously, that's part and parcel of where we are in evolution. I think that's why everything is so crazy, is because some of us, most of us, everyone is feeling the thinning of the veil. Some of us know what that is, others don't, and it scares them, and they act out of fear. And so I think that, again, it just goes back to that point of, getting the word out that this is a huge gift. It's going to feel crappy for a while, but this whole ability for all of us to realize our gifts, to improve our gifts, to use our gifts, is just part and parcel of us, I think, moving into the fifth dimension, frankly. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff I can't prove. It's a knowing or feeling that I have. But yeah, it's to get people in their hearts more.
There used to be a lady that for many years lived down near Encinitas and had a community, and she taught fifth dimensional living, in touch with angels and all that for many years. I went to that center one time. I knew Arnold Michael was acquainted with her. I've forgotten her name now, but it doesn't matter. Well, anyway, thank you for endeavoring to help us learn more or explore more.
So it is my pleasure to do exploring. And the next thing I'm getting into for myself is out of body. I'm trying to figure that one out. So if anybody's got any insight into that, I would appreciate it. But I may be teaching you that in a few months. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Terrie. So appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, we keep moving forward. And you guys, everybody who's sick, you need to get better. Everybody who's not sick, stay not sick and don't break anymore, Paula. I know. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And if you have any questions, as always, email me and I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What'd you say, Kev? I didn't hear you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Bye now.
Laura, good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck, Laura.
Yes, good
On my
luck.
list. Oh, and everybody pray for Pope Francis, who's very ill. He's a good man. No, I'm not Catholic anymore. Have a blessed week, everybody. Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Next week we have Katrina.
That's right. Next week is Katrina. You're on the spot, girl.
We